how to help, talking about why and how to address math word problems for your right brain learner. This has become a real problem, especially in the post-pandemic era, where kids really struggle with math because they miss the foundational skills. What are some of the problems we're seeing? Learning differences. These kids don't necessarily recognize the words they're being used, understand the words greater than, less than. All the complexity of math word problems are sometimes lost on them. And they're often taught in a very logical, sequential, and auditory way. They don't visualize what the problem really is. And then visual processing problems. These kids often have problems where the numbers don't line up correctly. They miss positive and negative signs. And sometimes they have directionality problems. They get on a number line, they just go the wrong way. And then working memory gets in the way. I don't remember my math facts. Just because you flash 4 times 3 on a screen doesn't mean I know what the answer is 12. And they have difficulty understanding the order of operations. And then homework. Oh my God. We get parents telling us that homework sometimes takes 2.5 hours when it should take 30 minutes. It gets incredibly stressful. And then kids often run out of time on tests. It just takes them much longer to get things done. Then parents complain their kid doesn't want to show their work. Very early on, they were able to do things in their head, but later on, they get in trouble because they make mistakes. And they're a lot smarter than the present results in math would indicate. And during the pandemic, many kids miss the foundational skills, and teachers don't have the time or disposition necessarily to go back and catch them up. So while reading scores have gone down by a significant amount in some cases, math scores are even worse. Now, what are the key things that we should realize about them? One, you want to show them things. We talk about when in doubt, draw it out. Okay. And sometimes act out the problems. Okay. And show them how to check their work and show them the benefits of it. They made a mistake, but they caught it. And then they've got this challenge with visual confusion, okay? And you got to check for that. And in the comment section here, we've put a screening form to figure out whether your kid's a bright right brain learner and do they have visual processing issues, because visual processing issues are very often missed. So when the kid doesn't line up the problems correctly or gets confused, misses signs, it's not their fault. They're just not seeing them correctly. So you need to figure out what those problems are and address them. And while with one kid, in our case, we had 2 kids who math facts just came like that. It was easy. Show them a flashcard, they got it. Other 2 kids, it did. And many of the students who are right brain learners don't get it. So when we're dealing with them, they need accommodations, but you also got to be clever and start using things like visuals and charts to map out this thing so the kids actually get it. Why to improve it? Okay. Because what are the problems? Math word problems cause homework time and stress to increase, and sometimes exponentially. Okay. Again, the math problems have gotten worse because they miss schooling and they miss the foundational skills. And sometimes kids got really good in math, so they could master the math facts, but the word problems are just confusing. Okay? And some people don't seem to understand that when they're lining up the numbers, the kids don't see that's a problem. Okay? And too often now, and we've seen it with 3rd graders, with 6th graders, and 9th graders, they just say, I hate math. And it's like Greek to them or Russian. They just don't get it. And the key thing to understand is that this can be improved. Okay. Math is like an open circuit. And we had a sixth grader who was failing math, and he just didn't get it. And then we had to draw it out for him, laid out the facts, showed him how to solve the problems, how to check his work. And 6 weeks later, he said, "You're fired." And I said, "What happened?" He said, "I'm getting 97s in math. I got it." Because the circuit had been closed for him. And one of the things about it is when that happens, it reduces the stress and anxiety and opens doors to better colleges and careers for them. Now, what are some tips? One, stay calm. Now, somebody might say, that's easy for you to say. Well, I'm a recovering screamaholic. And when my son had problems with math word problems, I used to get into some battles with him. And one day a client said, "You taught my daughter how to stay calm." And I tried to use the exact same technique with him. It was a classic night in the Halpert household. My wife and daughters went out shopping after dinner at 8:30. I sat down to do math work with my son. The first two problems were easy. The third one was confusing. He got angry. I said, "That's okay. Just go to your room, chill, and come back when you're ready." And he looked at me like I was stark raving mad. I'd never responded like that before. He went to his room, hit the punching bag a few times, came back. 31 seconds later, when my wife and daughters came home 45 minutes later, they found us playing ping pong. They said, "What happened?" So we did our math work. We got it all done. We're in our second game because I managed to stay calm. But I also did some cross midline exercises. What happens when a kid gets stuck is that two sides of their brain aren't talking to each other. So you'll want to do something, whether it's this, whether it's like that. You can do some things twisting your body, but go across the midline. And then when in doubt, draw it out. It's amazing what happens when the kids actually see what's going on. And first check to see if your child understands. They might be doing the problems wrong, but they don't understand it. And always have them check their work. I change their names. Let's say the student's name is Matthew. I change his name to Inspector Matthew. And Inspector Matthew, it's your job to find out whether you got the right answer. And if you made a mistake, that's okay. Just correct it. It's a game to them. You also identify what's the problems. If your problem is your child losing it, stay calm. It's amazing what can happen. If they don't understand the questions, make sure the teacher knows that. Okay? If there's visual confusion, check our sheets on, do your child have a visual processing issue? Okay? You might need to see an optometrist or talk to us about it, because visual confusion is probably present in 75% of the students we see. They don't remember the facts. Okay, we'll show you a number chart in a moment. Use number charts, okay, and use a visual checklist to show them what it is to do. And if they lost focus, again, hydrate them. If they're doing homework for 15, 20 minutes, have them stand up, do some cross midline exercises. Okay, they lose focus. They're not going to be present until you get them refocused. Okay, and if it takes much longer than it should, tell their teacher that. Okay, if they didn't check their work, go back and make sure they do it. So, some of the tips. One is, if your kid's really struggling with math, okay, get help from professionals that know how to help your kid. Okay, because I've had cases where a student had 17 tutors before they came to us because she never had somebody that knew how to teach her. And she went from the first percentile of math to the 47th. I wasn't going to make a math whiz out of her, but she got a whole lot better. We've had a lot of students go from D's and F's to B's and A's because math's not that hard if it's explained in a way that works for them. And assess for learning differences, visual processing, executive function challenges. The sheets we've posted, in the chat section. We'll show you whether or not your child's a right brain kinesthetic learner who would benefit from more hands-on approach, show you whether there's a visual processing issues. So more extensive tests we do to test for executive function issues, which include working memory, processing speed, and attention, all of which directly impact math. And explain why math's important to them. Whether you're doing mortgages, whether you're trying to figure out how much money you're going to make on something, what's something going to cost because you got to measure it and then multiply it by the cost per square foot or something like that. And address the issues that are relevant to them. Okay. And show them how to set up their work. And we strongly encourage people to use wide margin graph paper because it lines it up much clearer and the student can actually see it. And we actually also recommend circling minus signs and division signs because it's a way of differentiating. Now, if these kids are failing math and they're getting 60s and 65s, and you've managed to improve to 75 or 80, praise that progress because math doesn't change from 60 to 90 overnight with every student, and you want to reward progress. Now, flashcards, like I said, 4 times 3 is confusing to these kids if I see it on a flashcard because a flashcard tells me nothing. You've given me a problem 4 times 3. I don't understand something. We actually have the kids lay out the situation, multiplication and division. And we might use M&Ms. In this case, we just use bullets. We got 3 rows of 4. Okay. And we say, how much is that? And then sometimes they don't know. So, it's 12. Okay. That's good. Then now, what's this? Oh, it's 4 rows of 3. How much is that? And very often they count them. But now we have them look at it from the side and realize these 2 things are the same thing. That's not always obvious to the student. Okay. And then we use something called the family triangles, where if you lay out 12, 4, and 3 and explain to them that 4 times 3 is 12 and 3 times 4 is 12 and 12 divided by 3 equals 4, 12 divided by 4 equals 3, they realize that if they understand that one triangle, they get 4 facts for the price of 1. And we had one kid we showed this to the kid, and he knew 7 of the 55 math facts before when we started, and 3 weeks later he knew 31 out of 55, and his mom was a little frustrated that he didn't know all 55. It takes time. Don't ask me why, but some kids don't remember certain facts, so you got to try, work on that, but work on what they don't remember. You might go back and reinforce the others, but focus on where the challenge is. The other thing is to show them the patterns. Show them the patterns that, it goes 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It goes 3, 6, 9, 12. So they actually see the patterns of how things happen. Because again, if you see it visually, it has a far greater chance of succeeding. Now, a lot of times parents call us and we'll have an initial conversation and I'll go, how do you know my kid? How do you know that he doesn't understand the math questions? The words get him in trouble, that he has visual confusion, that he didn't remember his math facts, they won't check his work. We've seen these kids, probably 2,500 of them. Okay, math word problems are a problem for almost every single one of our students for multitudes of reasons because it's actually where everything comes together. And then it's important to assess for success, to identify not only what the kids' strengths are, but where the challenges are. And work with professionals who offer an integrated, engaging, and effective approach. The right brain kinesthetic learner often pushes back at first on math. Every opportunity they've had to succeed has hit a wall, and they just don't get it. They get frustrated again. So you need to find somebody that can work that. Then you need to work with their teachers because their teachers don't necessarily understand why they have the problems. They might understand the problems. They might say the problem is the kid's not lining up the work correctly. What they might not understand is what's the why behind that. There's some visual processing issues. And when you're working with them, stay calm. Remember, when in doubt, draw it out. Reward progress. We've never met a kid that can't get significantly better in math with the right help. But understand this, at the very start, they could be pushing back. So you got to find somebody to work with that knows how to help. If you want to give us a call, you can reach us at 561-361-7495 or go to our schedule and book a time to talk to us at 3dlearner.com/book now. Math is difficult until the circuit's completed, and then it can become easy. Make it easy for your child.